So now we're going to talk a little bit about ladders. So ladders are an integral part of our company. We utilize ladders to access roofs for roof cleaning. We utilize ladders to access gutters for gutter cleaning. And we utilize ladders to access windows for window cleaning. So getting comfortable with ladders and setting up ladders safely is a very important part of working on our team here at EnviroClean. So we have multiple different ladders, and depending on the reach of where we're trying to get to, we will use different ladders. So a longer ladder will of course be heavier, a shorter ladder will be lighter. So the aim is to utilize as small of a ladder as possible that will get the job done safely. So right here you can see we're working with a 24-foot ladder. So currently we have ladders ranging from shorter step ladders to 20-foot ladders to 24-foot ladders to 28-foot ladders to 32-foot ladders to 40-foot ladders. Each ladder, as I said, is going to be varying in size and weight, and some ladders, such as the 40-foot ladder, are going to require two team members to set it up safely. In this case, with the 24-foot ladder, we can easily do it as one person. So in this case, I'm just going to show how we might get up to the upper gutter there. This gutter is on the second story, and it being 2 stories, a 24-foot ladder is the perfect height. So we start by lifting the ladder up into the upright position. We do this by setting the ladder flat on the ground, and then we walk it up like so. So it's important to mention that a safe ladder setup revolves around a 4-to-1 ratio. That is, for every 4 feet that you go in height, the ladder needs to be 1 foot from the wall. So in this case, we look up there, that gutter is approximately 20 feet from the ground where we'll be setting our ladder up off of, and thus we would need the ladder to be approximately 5 feet away from the wall. This helps set the ladder up in a safe position where you don't risk it slipping out. So with ladders, as we've seen in certain videos, there is the risk that once you're at the top of your ladder and the weight isn't on the bottom contact point anymore, the ladder can slip out if you're at too shallow of an angle. And it's tempting to set up the ladder at those angles, those steeper angles, my apologies, not shallow, but steeper angles, because it feels more comfortable to walk up the ladder. You know, if we were to set up the ladder straight up and down like this, not only does it risk tipping backwards, but it's also a lot more uncomfortable to walk up the ladder. However, if we have it too far forwards, though you are more comfortable going up and down the ladder, it risks slipping out from underneath you. And that's the last thing we want. So, as far as setting up on this current gutter goes, we're going to untie the rope here. And this rope allows us to pull the ladder up. We have a small locking mechanism here. This is the unlock position. This would be the lock position. Often, once the ladder is set up, a common issue is that while walking up and down the ladder, you accidentally hit that with your foot. If that's the case, when you try to set it up or down, it's going to be locked. So always ensure that that's up. And now we can lift up the ladder. So we do so by pulling down on this rope. And we ensure that the level that we want our ladder at, these hooks are hooked onto the respective rung. So when you go past that, it drops past the rung. If you're hooking into the level, you just go up until you hear it click like that, goes down, and you can see that both of these hooks are on top of the rung and thus secure. So in this case, we're going to go all the way up, and we're going to set it against the ladder, against the gutter, like that. So now that we have our ladder set up, to add a second level of safety, what we're going to do is we're going to dig our feet in. So whenever possible, it's best to set up on soft ground where you can do this. And so in this case, we're here on the dirt. We're going to lift up the ladder, and we're going to flip these legs upwards. As you can see, there's hooks here on the little teeth on the bottom of this, and that's intended so when we flip it up, now the bottom of that leg is digging in. So we're going to do that on both sides, like this. Now those hooks are grooved in, and we can kick it down a bit, we dig it in, and now the ladder is safe to climb up and down. And this technique of digging in the feet helps mitigate, should the ladder be set up slightly steeper or slightly more shallow than the 4-to-1 ratio, this ensures that the ladder isn't going anywhere. So the 4-to-1 ratio is extremely important. However, sometimes due to obstacles or due to the layout of the property, the 4-to-1 ratio is not going to be possible, in which case we either dig in our feet like this, or if we were set up on some concrete where we can't dig in our feet, we would have one of our colleagues foot the ladder. And by footing the ladder like this, while the second person goes to the top, you ensure that the weight distribution remains strong on both the bottom and the top. Bottom weight distribution is very important for ensuring the ladder doesn't slip out. So in this case where we've dug in the rungs, we wouldn't have to worry about having someone foot it for us. And we also don't have to worry about as much the 4-to-1 ratio, because we know that we're dug into the ground here with our grooved teeth. This ladder is not going to be able to slip out from underneath us. So now that we have our ladder set up, we can talk about climbing it. So when climbing a ladder, it's very important that you always have 3 points of contact on the ladder. That is either 1 foot and 2 hands, or 2 feet and 1 hand. As you climb, of course, you are going to have to take off your hands and your feet. But it's important that at any given moment, you have 3 points. So right now, as you see, I have 2 feet on and my 2 hands on. Now when I reach up, I'm going to have just 1 foot on, but I still have my 2 feet on. My 2 hands securely on the ladder to help. Now when I reach up again, I'm going to have 1 foot, ensure that both my arms are there, and so on and so forth. And so essentially it's important that you always, in the back of your mind, remember to have 3 points of contact as you're climbing the ladder, and this will ensure the greatest level of safety. And if there was, for whatever reason, a gust of wind or something may bump your ladder from the ground, which happens extremely rarely, but it can happen, having those 3 points of contact will ensure that you don't accidentally slip or you're not taking an unforeseen short way down off the ladder, as it were. So always having those 3 points of contact is important, and that way you're going to stay safe on your ladder.